Morning guys, you're joining me at one of Harties' most hottest venues at the moment in terms of the fish that the venue is producing, as well as the weather at the moment. We've been having a heat wave for, I would say, the past week. Since last week the temperatures has been mid-30s during the day with hardly any clouds, little bit of clouds, no rain, hardly any wind, so it's really hot at the moment. Today we're gonna be using the Baitboat to be dropping our baits. Reason why we're doing the Baitboat, the bottom is quite silty at the moment, and with the silt, if you do cast slightly heavier lead, the chances of that plugging right into the silt is quite high. So by just using the Baitboat a short distance, it's about 1.5 meters to 1.7 meters at some stages. And yeah, the reason for that is when you do use the Baitboat and it's dropping, then it's only a short distance that the lead's going to fall. And then also we're going to use longer hook links, so that if the lead do plug a little bit into the silt, for the hook link to be still sitting on top of the silt. And then we're going to use the pop-up presentation as well as a critically balanced tiger with a pop-up. The reason for that is, again, just for the bait to be sitting on top of the silt and not to get buried right into the bottom of the silt itself. What I love to do is just to add some sweet corn into my particles. It just gives that extra bit of oomph to the bait. It just carries that flavor of the particles so nicely. And what you can do is you can put it in your particles the night before, let it soak. Once you've cooked it, that it's nice and hot and it just absorbs all the flavors. Next up, what I'm going to be doing is just to fill up my bait buckets. As you can see there, it's just a plain mixture of tiger nuts, some maize and some true feed pellets. So I'm not going to load the buckets too full, just a little bit of bait is more than enough. So what I'm doing just before each drop, I'm just using the banana liquid to put a nice amount over it, and then also the particles has been pre-soaked in our sweet corn that I've added about 30 milliliters to the mixture overnight, just for it to really draw in that sweet corn flavor. I'm going to show you guys exactly all the rigs that we are using during the session. So I've opted to go for the normal Ronnie rig, and then also my all-time favorite, the German rig. I'm just going to thread the bait floss through the swivel just for attaching my hook bait a bit later. So firstly, I'm just going to take a small tiger nut. I'm just going to trim it a little bit to get to flatten the edges, and also for the tiger nut to give a bit more flavor into the water by just breaking the skin. Next up, I'm going to take a white pop-up. Just going to cut it in half, save the one half for the other part of the day when I land a nice fish. And now we're just going to attach the bait. Now you'll see in this case the pop-up isn't trimmed down, it's just almost like a rough look to it. One thing I've noticed here at this place, the carp seems to love something that's not the norm. Just going to burn the bait floss. That makes a nice bulb. Press it down, and there you have it. That's like your bait stopper when you burn the bait floss. Next up, what I'll be using is one of our glugged foams with our banana liquid. So I'm just going to put it in its length through the piece of foam. Then you're going to attach it to the bait floss. Then just leave about 2 centimeters of bait floss, so that when you do burn it, it makes a nice blob to it. And there you have it. That's all. That's enough to just stop the foam from sliding off the bait floss. Also, what you're going to be doing with the Baitboat is just give it a gentle push forward, just for it to go into the water, and then you can start taking your line in. The one thing to bear in mind is when you use a Baitboat is just to undo your bail arm for the line to come off the spool, and not use the drag of the reel itself, as that will just tie out the reel over time. And in this case also, it's a nice free line going onto the Baitboat. So what I've done in this case is just to use the one pylon on the other side of the bank as a marker indication as to where to go. And then also my rod tips and buttress are lined up to that marker, just for easier use when using the Baitboat out at a distance. So today I'm going to fish out roughly at about 80 meters. And the other one I might take out to 90 meters, because that's generally the distance that they do prefer on these waters. Because I've got to my location, I'm dropping the buckets, and then just after dropping it, I'm just letting the boat go forward a bit more, just so that it's out of my way of my line. I'm going to stop the boat, park it there, and just get my line ready. Because what I'm going to be using now is our captive backlet, and the reason why I'm using the captive backlet, Harties dam is known for its hyacinths at the moment. It's quite a problem at the moment, and this will just ensure that my bait isn't being disturbed, and this will keep the line to go down into the water, so the hyacinths can actually move over my lines without having any issues. And then also a nice other feature with these backlets is that when you are coming in with your Baitboat or even your normal inflatable, there's very little chance of hooking your lines, especially if you're fishing with monofilament that goes right down to the bottom. And then also when playing a fish, your other line is almost out of play when it comes to playing a fish. and bite time came early for some people. In this case, this gent is fishing off a boat just moored in between two pylons, and one can clearly see the amount of rubbish that's actually associated with those waters. He's trying to dislodge plastic bags, and those plastic bags do creep up onto your line from time to time. Okay, so I've moved my rods a bit earlier, about half an hour to 40 minutes ago, closer to where I saw the gent fishing on his boat, and it is paid off. This one is on the white half pop-up and tigernut that I've showed you guys earlier, my left rod. And I went to drop this, I would say about 30-40 meters further than what I did drop my lines earlier today. Also, the nice thing with fishing with slightly heavier tackle, in this case 18 pounds of monofilament, it just makes it easier to land the fish, gives you more peace of mind. You don't have to worry about a thin line that's going to give in at any moment, and especially if there's a bit of a snag or anything like that, your chances of almost slightly bullying the fish to get it out of the snags is far greater than using a lighter line. Now the trick with this waters is normally there's quite a bit of plastic that gets attached to your line. There's a lot of debris underneath the water, and again, using a slightly thicker line with the possibility of having a plastic bag on your line, it just gives you much more peace of mind, and you've got a better chance of landing your fish. And again, when it comes to fish care, it's not just about the fish on the landing mat and that's fish care taken care of. It's having the lead to drop nicely, just so that it's you and the fish in between, and should your line break, that fish can then swim with that small piece of hook link that's in his mouth, maybe with a bit of normal line, and quickly that hook will be out of his mouth and he'll be free again. So there won't be any extra swivels and weights that's gonna make the fish to snag up. The fish itself does look like a nice common carp. It's about 20 meters away from the bank. Slowly gonna get it in, slide the net underneath it, and then we'll see what this baby weighs. Okay, so I've safely landed the fish. Just going to wet the landing mat. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to wet the retainer sling, then weigh the retainer sling on its own, so the scale can be zeroed, and then after that we'll then be weighing the fish with the sling. Yeah. Who knows what's winning? It's the lot. So in this case, I'm just going to unclip the hook link from the quick link swivel, so that there's no added tension to the line in the mouth of the fish. Even. So the stronghold hook is heated right at the bottom of the bottom lip in the center. Solid hook hold. Okay, so we're just going to transfer it into the retainer sling. Zip the sides close. And there you go. A very nice lower 30 caught on a small tigernut and half a white pop-up using a German rig with one of our stronghold hooks. Lovely, they're in beautiful condition here at Harties. Always nice and fat, scales are nice, fins are nice, and they give you a good solid run and a good fight. Okay, so I'm just going to release this beauty. There we go. Off she goes. Okay, I'm just going to take the line in again with the bait boat right up against the pylon that's here in front of me. Since I moved the line, it made a huge difference. Within 40 minutes, I had a nice run. Okay, again, I'm just going to push in the boat to take off some line of the reel. This makes it easier also to just let the boat go. I think from here to the pylon it's about 110 meters. So I'm just going to drop it at a 100-meter mark. And I think also the success for the sort of mid-afternoon fish that came, there's a nice breeze that came in from the right to the left. So as I'm sitting my right hand side, the wind's blowing nice and cool from the right, and I think that's also just cooling the top layer a bit. And because of the water that's quite shallow here, a bit of cool water is welcome for the fish. And there we go. I'm just going to bring the bait boat back. So all that I do, I drop my line. First make sure that I can get the line underneath the water as quick as possible, for in case there's some hyacinths that's coming in. At this stage I can't see any hyacinths in the near vicinity, but should there be hyacinths, you drop your line as quick as possible, secure it with a backlet, and then bring your bait boat in. So I'm just going to take you guys through the rig that I've used. It's a German rig that was tied with a size 2 Stronghold hook. I've just added the kicker to it just to give it a bit more hook turn on the pickup. On there I've got a micro swivel, and then also just a hook stopper just for the swivel not to go too far back, and then that's right opposite the barb that gives the best hooking capabilities. And then also I've got a tungsten hooklink sinker that I've added, and then also a tungsten anti-tangle sleeve. So first that I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut a piece of bait floss. I'm going to thread it through this eye of the swivel. I'm just going to take the bait floss, just turn it a bit, just grabs onto one another. It's easier for bait application. Next, take your baiting needle or your splicing needle, push it through the soft white pop-up, push it through the small tiger nut. You can see the tiger nut, I've cut the edges just so that the tiger nut can give a bit more flavor. Okay, so now I've just pushed through the bait floss. I'm just going to cut it here and then use a lighter. So I'm just going to use a lighter to blob the bait floss. and then once it's blobbed, I'm just gonna tap it down, and then there we go. That's now your hook stopper. So there's the German rig. So this pop-up and a tigernut just makes like a small wafter. So it just sits in the water, just slightly moving with the water flow. And then what I'm doing there, I'm taking the banana liquid, I'm just putting it on there, and then with my fingers, almost like massaging it onto everything here, onto the pop-up and onto the tigernut. And then that presentation I'll put into my Baitboat. Okay, I'm just gonna rebait this one. It's been lying for, I would say, about an hour and 40 minutes now. Dropped at a similar spot to where I got that other nice common carp. And the reason why I'm doing that, the guys around me, the catch rate is a little bit higher than mine. So I want to see if there maybe isn't like a piece of, I would say, plastic or something on my line that could have hampered the way the hook was presented. Doesn't feel like there's plastic on here at the moment, but just a small piece of plastic on the hook, and the carp will struggle to actually get a solid hook hold. And it's as I thought, some plastic that's on my hooks. So there you go, that's just what could have happened. I think that hook might have grabbed onto a piece of plastic, so that carp will have a good go at that piece of foam, and it would not have actually got a solid hook up, not even a run. So one thing that you can see here, lots of bloodworm in this piece of debris as well as plastics that's in the water, and I've got a good feeling that's why this venue at the moment is having such great success. The fish are having a good go at all the naturals. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to load the bait boat, the buckets. Just take a small scoop, put it in the left bucket, small scoop in the right bucket, and then I'm just going to take the banana liquid that I had my success on here today as well as previously, just squirt it over the particles, and now it's ready to get my rig loaded. Okay, I'm just going to take the bait boat in. Okay, so I'm just going to take it in again. Just undo your bail arm for the line to go off the spool, and don't use your drag. Okay, and there we go, we've got a nice run. Okay, so this fish has taken my line with a vicious take, solid run while I was preparing the bait boat to drop again. Things were getting a bit quiet, and initially on the hookup you could feel it was snagged up onto something like a branch or something. You could feel it pinging all the time, and yeah, luckily I'm fishing 18 pounds of mainline and then about a 50-pound leader, and that will save you sometimes in these snaggy conditions. The nice thing with monofilament here, if it had to be braids with those branches, if it's a possible branch, I'm not sure yet, that branch, the braid we've cut into the branch, making it so much more difficult, where the monofilament will just sort of braise itself over the branch. Ek dink hier is 'n dakke. Okay guys, so also ensure that your water is nice and cold, especially if you've been sitting for a while waiting for a fish. You need some colder water. So I'm just going to leave this fish in the water, grab a nice bucket of cold water, return back to the net. There we go, safely on the mat with some nice cold water. Okay guys, this one also, I got it on that German rig with a tiger and the white pop-up. I don't know if you guys can see, but there we go. Okay, I'm just gonna close it up again, just zero the sling with a scale and then see what this one weighs. Okay. Okay, so the scale has been zeroed. I'm just now going to put it in the weigh sling. There you go. So I'm just going to remove all the other excess stuff in the way, like the landing net, just so that it's the weigh sling and the landing net. Okay. Okay, so here's the second fish for the day. I'm very happy. Second 30 pounder. The other one was scraping just 30 pounder. This one is just a little bit over 30 pound. Sort of still a low 30 pounder. There you go. Beautiful Harties common carp. Pristine condition. Fat. One would think it's almost spawn time for them, but they're just in a good condition from about January up until March here at Harties. Lovely fish, dark fins. You can see they spent their time in a lot of silt. Bottom is very soft here, that's why you have to use something that's floating, like a Ronnie rig or maybe a German rig or a KD with a balanced bottom bait. There we go. We're just going to release this beauty back into the water, live to fight another day, make another angler very happy. There we go. Just look at that. Lovely scales, full common carp. I'm just going to give it a bit of a help, and there it goes. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to add another hook link to my setup. Due to the fish that was actually snagged up on the previous run, I would say I'm just going to change another hook link. I've just felt my leader. I'm just going to also just put on a new leader quickly. So I'm just going to put a small scoop in the left bucket, small scoop in the right bucket. Just put some of the banana liquid in here. And I'm going to take that new line out. that I've replaced the leader of. Okay, so that move that I made earlier by seeing the gent earlier on his boat fishing quite well, I said to myself, okay, I must get to him as close as possible. I did that, and quickly after that, 2 fish so far for the day. It is late, sort of midday. I think it's just after 1, it might be close to 2. I haven't looked at the time yet. So I'm just going to drop this again exactly where I've been dropping the others. So if I look at the water, it looks like there's some sort of thick black pipe floating by the pylon. It's been there for sort of as long as I can remember. So I'm not too sure exactly what is in that pipe. Sort of maybe a water pipe that's been pumped somewhere else and that keeps it afloat. I'm not sure. As I got to the spot, I'm just dropping both of them, let the boat go forward a bit, stop the boat, and then I'm just gonna reel in the slack line a bit, and then put my backleads on, place my rods, and then wait for the other action to come. Slightly make my drag a bit tighter, but it's not too loose. I don't want to overrun. These guys are quite feisty runners here. Set the bobbins and let's see what happens. Okay, so I'm getting to the end of my session. I've got about an hour and a half left of fishing. Fishing was quite good. As always, everyone would have hoped for maybe that extra fish or 2. Now, to my right, there was also some fishermen that doing normal conventional fishing, and they landed also a very nice mirror, 16.1 kilograms, very nice mirror, and they were catching them on normal floaties, millibomb. So it just shows you that each venue is unique. Especially this venue, they do like smaller baits, like a small pop-up or even a small presentation of a tigernut with a type of pop-up. And then also to my left, the guy also caught a fish, not the biggest, but also on conventional papgooi method. And yeah, with maybe the hour and a half left of fishing, this venue isn't known for sort of fish to, I would say, really go on the bite in the afternoons. They normally 10 o'clock till just after lunch, and that's exactly when my fish came. So let's see, maybe there's another run or 2 left for you guys to see. So I came to the end of my session, just over 9 hours here at Harties. First few hours it was quite slow. Harties, especially this when it doesn't show the fish, you don't really see where they are. Other dams you can see them jumping or showing. There's a lot of barbel in the waters here, so there's lots of swirls, so it's difficult to really determine if it's carp or barbel, but mostly gut feeling it's barbel. So yeah, luckily I saw the guy in his boat sort of in the middle of the dam, and he was catching quite a few fish early on in the morning, a few barbel, some nice carp that I could see. I actually used the camera zoom function just to see, although the camera can't record in zoom. I did see him hauling in a few fish, and then that made me to decide to actually drop my lines where he was fishing, not on him, but as close as I could to not sort of invade his space. And shortly after that, about an hour after that, it paid off with a nice run. And then things got a bit quiet, and I thought, okay, let's just move one rod because maybe a plastic bag or something got hold of it. I reeled in, there was a plastic bag to it, but as I reeled it in, the other rod just went. Got snagged up. Luckily I managed to get that out with a nice sort of, I would say, lower to mid 30. And now the flavor that's working here, the guys to my left and to my right, they got some fish on banana. So I really think banana is one of the key flavors here at the venue. This venue do produce fish up until sort of March. So if I plan it correctly, I might have a few sessions here, and maybe we can even get a bigger fish on camera for you guys. Thanks for watching. Cheers, bye. In the hope of a last bite, nothing came yet. Maybe when I press stop, fish will run.